Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 564 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined by the almost matching Stephen Kyle Brecky. We wore the exact same shirt today. We had to do a quick plot twist, and there was shirts lying around, so Brecky changed.
I used to keep a extra shirt in my bag, and I must have taken it out because we all a lot of times get the same gear, whether it's flow gear or gear schools send us. I forgot to take it out.
Yeah, he forgot. But we changed up, and not wearing an AC/DC shirt is Ben Funky Askren. Ben, how you doing?
Well, rooted classic fits. Make me look classy.
Wow.
Make me look like a grown up. Christian, I thought your intro was a little low energy today. You usually a little more fired up for a Tuesday.
Really?
And you are. And I will tell you, I'm almost through season 1 of The Wire.
Oh,
they
baby.
just killed freaking Wallace.
Oh,
what a bunch of bull crap. Why'd they do it?
Where the boy at, String? Because, man, you cannot snitch.
Why'd they kill him?
Because he's a snitch.
I don't think he actually told anyone, did he? Or was he going to?
Yes, he did. He was going to testify.
Oh, he did. You're right.
Remember,
they didn't know that. But they didn't know that.
They kind of knew.
They kind of knew.
They were right. But
Right.
that is probably, there's a few moments lower than that in the show where you get even.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a pretty low moment.
That one's pretty low. That's about as low. There's a couple that get a little lower.
The writing makes it fantastic, Christian, because I think, they obviously tried to make you connect with all the characters, and he's one of the characters. They show him taking care of the younger kids. They show him wanting to go back to school and get out of the drug trade. And, they really make him a really lovable character.
Yeah.
And then obviously he had a moment of weakness, but he's only 14, or 15 or whatever.
Yeah. Very young.
A lot of 15-year-olds have moments of weakness, and it's not good.
Yeah. Just the stakes are so different in that situation than, when we made 14-year-old mistakes, we probably weren't going to be murdered by our friends. Yeah, a little Wire talk to start the morning. I am actually quite fired up. I think you really judged my my intro.
Well, there you go.
Well, hey, but wait, I want to check in with you because one, hip update. And are you showing wrestling moves yet? Are you following doctor's orders?
I shot a couple high crotches.
I knew it. I freaking knew it. Aren't you supposed to be on crutches? I knew that. I knew that's what you were going to say.
I got done with crutches last week.
Really?
Off crutches last week, shooting high crutches this week. That's how I roll, baby.
Oh my God.
No, I wasn't shooting them hard or nothing.
Okay.
I wasn't wrestling. I had to show my guys were, this, Christian, you're a high school wrestling coach. So one of the groups I was coaching last night, they're shooting a high crotch and they're coming up, right? They were coming up with their butt under their hips. They're coming up and boom, their ass is moving back and their head's down. It's not good. That's going to get your face rubbed in the mat. So, I was frustrated. So I got to get your chest up, get your hips into them,
Yeah. Head up, hips in, back straight. Goes a long way.
Yeah.
Hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to do. Okay. So a lot of classic Friday news dump. Friday news dumped us, which I think every Friday we should get paranoid. It's not hard for me to get paranoid anyways. But Fresno State dropped their wrestling program. And obviously it's a program that just got reinstated. Only been around a couple of years. And a lot of disappointment, a lot of anger from the community, which, I can relate to and understand. It is sad, and you feel for the kids, you feel for the coaches, you feel for all those affected by it. But I feel like the response to me is a little, okay, are we still, it's a very not wrestling response in my opinion. And I think
what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is, a bad thing happened to me. It's their fault. These people are bad. They did a bad thing to me. Instead of confronting the reality of why this is happening, right? And
this is my Mental Monday yesterday, Christian.
Okay, I didn't even listen, but perhaps
you
incepted. I listen to them when I see them pop up.
Having this self-awareness to understand whether it's your fault or whether it's your environment's fault. That was kind of what I was.
Sure. Yeah. Well, this could maybe tie in in both ways. Because one, there's something I've been talking about, and it was just a couple weeks ago I was saying our sport is beholden to entities, institutions, and systems that do not value us. Okay? The NCAA, these schools do not care. By and large, there's a few schools, and they're probably, you can count them on one hand, that really, really care, really deeply care about wrestling. And the IOC does not care about wrestling. And these are two, huge institutions that don't care about us. But more than anything, I think you look at the three programs that have been dropped recently, ODU, Stanford, and now Fresno State. Two of those programs, and this is what I'm talking about looking in the mirror, they had issues, okay? If you're a wrestling program, you cannot put yourself in the crosshairs. You're already in the crosshairs. You're already vulnerable. You're already a sport in ODU and in Fresno's case that is not sponsored by the conference, okay? You're already a sport that does not make money. In fact, you lose money, okay?
Yeah.
And you're already a sport that doesn't, always jive with Title IX. And I know that's a cop-out that the institutions use sometimes, but you just got to know you're behind the eight ball. So if you've got allegations of stripper parties with recruits, Fresno State, that's going to be a problem. That's going to put you more in the crosshairs. If you're getting sued for concussion management, ODU, that's not going to be forgotten. You have to pay out $500,000. That's not going to be forgotten. Okay. And when it comes crunch time, and you can talk about all the virtues of the sport that it instills and all the, the honor roll, this and that. But the bottom line is that's not, when it comes crunch time for these institutions, that's not what's going to keep you around, right? It's value. Yeah. And when you have these self-inflicted things like Fresno ODU had, I think we can't just get mad at administrators for being administrators who are making a business decision about a thing that doesn't make them money. And us just not being an expensive sport is not going to keep us around. And to me, when do you confront the reality? It's like the NCAA is not helping us. It's hurting us. We've lost 175 programs, and we still get, mad at the institutions. This is the way it's going to go. I don't know what's going to change it. It's maybe time, and we talk a lot about, the NCAA doesn't have our sports best interest. It doesn't have the athlete's best interest in mind a lot of time. And for me, college wrestling is my absolute favorite thing. It's definitely the reason I was able to get this job, because I loved college wrestling so much. So I don't want college wrestling to go away, but I'm also, it's like you just have to confront reality and look inward and be like, hey, this isn't going the way we want. What are we going to do about it?
Yeah, so I agree totally. I've been beating this drum for many years, and I would throw the IOC in that mix also as a institution that doesn't really care about us all that much. And that's why I have been adamant that there needs to be some type of professional wrestling league that can stand alone, that can make money, that is an outlet for athletes. And right, who knows? In the beginning, it's not going to be very many athletes. It's going to be a handful. But if you could build it, then there will be this outlet for more and more and more athletes. And who knows what it could eventually turn into. But yeah, thinking that the long-term solution for us is college and IOC, I think is really questionable. And then on top of that, obviously you look at the position a lot of these colleges are being put in right now. They're going to be hurting financially. Really, I mean, they're already hurting, and they're going to be hurting more financially as this pandemic drags on.
Yeah, and that certainly doesn't help. And I'm not saying that Fresno got dropped just for this reason, but what snowflake causes the avalanche, right? So yeah, I can't lump this into some broader thing about the exact direction wrestling needs to go, but I think there are some realities.
And I guess one of the things I will say about Fresno, and is they don't check all the boxes. You were saying they had the off the mat issues, which that's a problem, especially for ADs and stuff. But one area where they were doing outstanding, they were having great fan. What am I call it? When the fan, they're having great crowds, right?
Yeah,
they were getting a lot of numbers in the seats. There seemed to be a lot of community support. I know the first couple of years, I think they sold out like 9,000 seats for a few matches. So they were getting that part of it right for sure. But I think what you're dealing with that, and I kind of know a little bit of the inside because I was managed by Dwayne Zinkin, and he was one of the leading proponents of bringing Fresno State wrestling back. His uncle DeLito was the coach for a long time. And I think you're dealing with an athletic department that just really didn't want wrestling, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. And one of the reasons I don't know, you didn't exactly say it, Christian, but in this document, you had it where, wrestling, although it is a lower budget sport, still loses money. I mean, the Fresno State Athletic Department is not making revenue off the wrestling program, and that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their ticket revenue went from 118,000 down to 79,000 in a year. So while their attendance was good, they clearly were not making enough money on it to make up for their expenses, which were 1.1 million, which was they almost double what the estimated cost was. So they ran at 2x the estimated cost according to this.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah, that's very wild. So
yeah,
I don't even know how that happens, honestly. If I'd spend double the budget I have, it's probably not around anymore. Which actually, that's what happened to them.
Yeah. So yeah, that's depressing because Troy. I know Troy very well, the Steiner, the coach there, and he was doing what I think was mostly a good job. Obviously, there's a few off the mat incidents, but for the most part, I felt like he was doing a really good job in the 3 years they were back. Kind of sucks that they're not back anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of Coach Steiner, and I'm sure he'll wind up somewhere. But it sounds like they're going to get this year. They'll get to do this year, just like Stanford will. ODU will not.
What's interesting is looking at the transfer portal: Jackson Himmauer, Jacob Wright, Adam Kemp, Nevels, Lawrence Sands already in the portal.
Yeah.
Jackson. So I know him because he wrestled AW a little bit, and he kind of helps out with our Madison location a little bit. They didn't even want him to come back. Not because wrestling, but because it was virtual school, right? And they couldn't really train or anything out there. So he was actually just staying, and he was training in Madison a lot with Tristan. And then they got the news last week, Thursday or whatever.
Man.
Yeah.
So some good, some pretty talented guys. I'm sure they'll wind up.
Yeah, those are all NCAA qualifier / been in the rankings guys. You could just be entering to see what's out there right now, and go ahead and wrestle the season because it is a little late in the game to probably be transferring, unless you just want to jump in second semester.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, the problem, Kyle, like I said, they didn't even have Jackson coming back till mid-November sometime, I believe, if I remember hearing him right. It's all the classes were all virtual, and I don't think they were even allowed to really do any training for the time being.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Russian Nationals happened over the weekend. As you hopefully know, there will be a UWW World Championships December 12th through 20th.
Hey, did USA Wrestling announce whether they're going or not, Christian? Because that was supposed to happen last Tuesday. We thought we'd get at least a little bit of word.
Negatory. I don't think it's coming.
No word.
Yeah, I bet we'll get it next week if I had to guess.
Okay.
I don't think we're sending a team either.
Come on.
Yeah. So
does that upset you? Because that upsets me.
Yeah. I mean, it's not worlds without us, in my opinion. And if Russia wasn't there, but
I would be very curious to hear USA Wrestling's justification, because when the same governing body they hosted an event last weekend with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids there. They're hosting an event I'm going to in 2 weeks, preseason nationals, which has 3,000 attendees, Christian. 3,000.
Well, Europe, apparently, I'm trying to avoid all news, but apparently Europe is spiking somewhat. So
we've been spiked for the last 4 months.
I don't know. I don't think it's just I think the international travel plus Europe. I'm just telling you.
Well, I'm just I'm pushing back, obviously, and I know you don't make the decision for USA Wrestling, but it seems kind of disingenuous for a governing body to be hosting tournaments with 3,000 youth kids and their parents, while at the same time saying we can't send 30 members of a delegation and do it safely to. I don't believe Serbia is where it's at.
Yes.
I'll check, but I don't think Serbia has been hit very hard.
Okay.
I'll Google for us.
Go ahead. So
Yeah.
of note with the Russian team, what they're sending, I mean, basically all their ones were in the mix by and large, including Sadulayev. But the most notable result, I would say, would be at 74, where Sidakov goes down 9-3 to Sabalov.
That match wasn't competitive. It wasn't competitive, Christian. Sabalov kicked his butt.
Yeah. So then Sabalov beats Sidakov, and then he loses to Zamolov 5-1. So
yeah,
some
and Zamolov and that match wasn't all that competitive either.
No, 5-1.
Meaning one guy really controlled the match. Zamolov really controlled the match, and then in the Sidakov match, Sabalov really controlled the match. What year did Sabalov win the Worlds? Because it was a while back.
2014.
2014, yeah.
And then
didn't Burroughs always kill Sabalov, right?
He beat him good, and they last wrestled in 2017 in the World Finals, and Burroughs beat him pretty good.
Yeah,
it was good. I mean,
the case.
if I'm USA, I would love for Sidakov to somehow not be on the World and Olympic team, because I think at his best. Although who knows with this Zamolov guy, he could be like the next generation, right? It's so deep there.
He's young, right?
Yes, he's young. I don't know how young.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's Russia young or just regular young, but I think he's young.
All right, Christian, Google update. Serbia has a total of 36,000 cases, adding 300 yesterday, comparative to just Wisconsin, which has 170,000 cases and added 3,700 yesterday. So, yeah, I think we might as well just send a team.
All right. Well,
they'll probably be safer over there.
Yeah, we'll see. It would be. I don't know. It's a not an easy decision, I don't think. So I'm trying to find Zamolov's thing.
So with Sidakov, you gotta think this wedding issue is having an issue with his performance, because he did not look good at all. I mean,
no,
he got dumped off 3 of his shots, I think, right? Or 4.
His last one, yeah. Yes.
He got dumped twice off that shot, but then he got dumped in the first period also. Just like, and it's not like I'm again, you don't get to watch a lot of these Russians, but of the matches I have watched of them in the past 2 World Championships, that was just something you didn't see. And when you're wrestling a guy like, he wrestled Chamizo a couple times, like, well, Chamizo is about as dangerous as it gets, and he didn't dump him like that. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of telling.
Yeah, something's definitely going on there. It did not look like the guy, and Sidakov's not old either. He shouldn't be on the downward trajectory. I think
he's super young, right?
And he's young. I think he might have been like 21 when he beat Jordan or something like that.
Yeah, I think he's like 23 or 24, Christian. Yeah. He can't be on the downward swing then.
No. So with that, it's like, all right, well, you just got to figure it's something else. And I mean, part of me is like, does he really want to go? Well,
I'll tell you what, he just got publicly embarrassed at a wedding within the last couple of weeks. I mean, I don't think it was a month ago. That's got to be freaking, oh my gosh, that's got to be so messing with your mind. I mean, listen, some kids were telling me the day, because they brought this Sidakov losing up at practice. I said, and they said, well, he dumped her. And I said, listen, man, this dude was at a wedding. He thought he was marrying the love of his life. He was going to walk down the aisle and say, I love you forever, baby. And then it got broke up. Tell me that don't mess with you. That messes with you. I don't care if you're the one who cut it off or not.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, I feel like, I think for Sidakov, one thing, him not making the team this year, if they go on, it could work out in his favor, because this guy could go and he could do poorly at Worlds, and they would say, okay, well, it's sort of clear that he should go.
Point, Christian.
But another thing that is, in 2016, when I fought off the hordes of fans that did not want Frank Molinaro on the team because they just didn't want it, they liked other people. People often cited the Russian process for why they should, and you should send someone with a more proven blah, blah, blah. And Russia sends their nationals winners 95% of the time, I'd say, a high percentage of the time. There are instances where they don't. Sometimes they just say, Sadulayev, you're our Olympian. Thank you for your service. We know you'll do well.
Seems like a good move.
Seems like a smart move.
Yes.
So they are, in general, they honor the nationals. So on the one hand, that, but on the other hand, if Sidakov or if whoever goes to Worlds doesn't do well, they'll probably want to be a little more preferential towards Sidakov somehow in the process.
Yes.
And
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say sometimes they'll use like the Continentals or a tournament as like another proving ground or opportunity. So I think Sidakov will have more than enough options. And also, if Zamalov goes and wins, but America's not there, and you don't beat Jordan Burroughs or Kyle Dake to do it, they're gonna be like, well, what does that really mean? Now, if he beats Shimizu, that'll probably be a feather in his cap. So there's a lot of little things that could.
So I feel like I can't remember the name. I always forget the Russians. I struggle with keeping their names in my head, Christian. But wasn't there a 55 or 57? I don't remember what the weight class was at the time. Someone who always won nationals but really struggled at the Worlds, and they kind of kept him off the team purposefully. I mean, I feel like that's happened a few times where if a guy goes and he does not do well internationally, like they'll attempt to keep that guy off the team because they know if he goes again, they don't think he's going to do well. Right?
They don't like Bogomoev. I think it's probably him. Who I love that guy. I think he's great, but he didn't do great at Worlds a couple times after being like, a favorite in many people's eyes. So he would be one. Lebedev at the end there was not very productive, although I think he got a bronze in 15. And then he had that crazy saga to get on the team in 2016, if you remember that, where that Russians rigged many aspects of trials to the point where Lebedev said he didn't even want to be on the team, which is crazy.
Yeah. So so it definitely has happened at times in the past with the Russians where they've kept someone off the team. What did you think about? I watched one of his matches, but Romanov at 65. It doesn't seem like the same guy that he was in the past, and it is really funny because some of these Russians. I mean, I suck with names, Christian. The one that beat Burroughs in 16 just disappeared. Like he's just gone. He wasn't old. He's just gone. Like gone with the wind. You never seen the man again. And it feels like this happens with some Russians where I don't know if they get paid for the first time in their life and there becomes a disinterest in the sport. But man, something happens and they're just not what they were.
I think Romanov I think that could be part of it. The dude already won the Olympics in grand fashion, so that could be part of it. Other part, I just don't know if his body can do 65 day of really anymore. I think he's big, and I think it's a problem, and I don't think he's big enough to go 74. And if you're an Olympic champion and an Olympic weight, is messing around at 70 really the thing you want to do? So I don't know. That's just my read on it. But he doesn't seem like the same guy that really went gangbusters through.
He went through the field.
Yes, through it. And that was the second. Yeah. In 14, I'm pretty sure he won Worlds and just like chewed through it. If I'm remembering correctly. He was really good. I think he just destroyed everyone. Then in 15 is when he got stepped over on his gut against Navruzov, the Uzbek.
Yes.
I remember.
You don't even. I've started searching Romanov, and then I clicked on his wife, and her Instagram is both. She's both a model, and she tells you how to pick stocks. What a fantastic mix of a woman! He's probably just so happy he don't even need to wrestle. She's a model, and she tells you how to pick stocks. Can you beat that, Christian?
You can't beat that.
Now we see one picture of her riding a horse, and that's like completed puzzle.
Yeah, yeah. I think. Two professions.
Checks all the boxes.
I guess that's better than one. Okay. So that's Russian nationals, I guess, in general. Did you have any other thoughts? Anything you wanted to
those are the two that popped out at me, that the 74 and 65. I guess one of the things I was just thinking as I was reading through the brackets too is, and I know Sedgulayev was at 86 for a couple of years, but man, 74, which is kind of a little bit 70 and 74 this year at the same time. It is so insane how they've had so many different world champions at that weight class. And that's even despite Burroughs' reign, right? Because Burroughs has won a lot of world titles also there. But they still have 4 different guys who won world titles there. and then you up to 86, and the production for them at 86 just hasn't been even close to what the production at 74 or 65 is, and that's always puzzling to me. Is it just like, okay, well, that country doesn't produce people that size, or what is the deal? Because they've been so successful at 74 and 65 with different guys. It hasn't been like one guy who's won a whole bunch of world titles. It's been different people coming through the mix, winning the world championships. But then 86, they haven't been the same.
Yeah, let's just think about from 65 to 74, the champs they've had. They've had Rashidov, Chikayev, Romanov. They've had Baev,
Sabalov,
Sidakov, and Kurbanaliev. What was that, 7, 8 world champs in like...
It's like 8 world champs.
Within 10,
in a
within
really
10
small
kilos,
area.
10 kilograms.
Yes.
So, yeah, they're really good in that range. I don't know what it is. I mean, if they had just convinced Sadulayev to stay at 86, I wonder how it looks, because it seemed like they'd have been okay at 97 if Boltakayev had hung around. I mean, I feel like Gadisov left some good years behind him when he retired, but when Sadulayev comes up, the writing's on the wall and you're basically done. But if he had stayed down, I think they'd have been okay there. But Boltakayev's now up at 125. Who knows what's happening with him? I think he no-showed at Nationals. He's
done, bro. Come on.
He's been done. But
okay,
you know, if he'd have been a 97 long term, he'd have been a thing. Now maybe
if he got to keep taking his vitamins, maybe.
Yes, he definitely was a beneficiary of the gimmick, in my opinion. So
did he pop ever, or no? Am I dreaming?
I'm pretty sure he did.
He did. So that's official. We don't need to guess.
Yeah. Yeah, he failed a drug test at 2017 Euros for hygienamine. Let's see what that is.
Okay.
I bet it helps with hair loss.
Oh my
gosh.
So you know what the other?
I don't know what this means.
Just don't even look at it, Christian. You don't go down that rabbit hole. Man, the other thing here is that, you know, kind of like we said with Russia 86, and they've been a little bit productive, but not as. But that's another one where it's like, how does America struggle so much at? What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at what hygienamine helps with. So
what does it help with?
There's also interest in using hygienamine for weight loss, cough, asthma, heart failure, and erectile dysfunction. It covers a lot of bases, guys.
You got more problems than we thought, bro.
Well, who knows? Could have just been for the cough.
Could have just been for the heart disease.
Maybe he has a heart. Maybe his heart failed. I don't know. Did you see how tired he got
his
at the
heart
Olympics?
did look like it failed at the Olympics.
He rested his head upon Yueman's shoulder, the official.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So the more you know, it's apparently a pre-workout. It's like
got it.
Explode for the sniffles, maybe. I don't know.
So
sorry I giggled.
So that's funny. So yeah, but that kind of that makes me think of America struggling so much at 65. You know, when it's like, I always feel like we have really good guys there, and we haven't got a medal in a very, very long time. And that one always like makes my head hurt, how we haven't been able to do that, because I feel like we've had a lot of really good representatives over the course of time. Oh, and then I got ADHD. So to go on, we forgot to discuss Metcalf episode 3.
Oh, get it. What were your thoughts?
It was really good. You know, Brent, I guess I've never like sat down and had a really at-length conversation with him. You know, I've been back and forth a little bit, and he was the same grade as my brother. So, you know, obviously I saw him growing up as well. I think it made him more human, more personable, more likable. You know, I loved how he was just very matter of fact about his struggles and failures. Like, you know, hey, that's what it is. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I always, you know, I would like to maybe dig deeper as a sports psychologist. You know, I always wondered how he always struggled at the world championships and never got a medal. Like, that kind of always blew my mind, because he was always really competitive with the very best guys. He just never was able to get over that hump for some reason.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have wondered why that might be. I mean, I don't think it's a sports. I mean, my opinion, I think it's more, the issues were probably more technical than anything.
Yeah. So on that note, one of the things that my brother has brought up a few times, kind of I don't know if we're talking specifically about Brent, but other people also, is like the opposition's peak form versus their current form, meaning that especially a lot of these Russians, they don't need to get in shape for some of these non-worlds tournaments, but at the worlds they're gonna try to be in as good a shape as possible. Which for Russians, that's our bar is here, their bar is probably right here. It's a little lower, and so Metcalf maybe was highly reliant on winning by shape, and it was success. It was a successful tactic in non-worlds competition, but then the guys just got a little extra in shape for worlds, and he wasn't able to use that tactic quite as much. Maybe that was one of the reasons.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know, towards the end, I think, well, you have to remember part of his senior level career was ball draw era from, whatever, 2009 or whenever he was really in it through 2013 was ball draw. That definitively would not favor him, the fact that a match could only be 4 minutes potentially. So then those were probably, he graduated in 2010. So really his peak years were probably around that time, 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13. Those were all ball draw era years, right? And typically when we see
you got that gift against Freyer though in 10 or 11.
Oh my gosh,
It was bad.
You know what's so funny? It was 2010. You know what's so funny is like that. Remember I told you that was the year where I lost and then I had to fight and I just left.
Yeah,
and I like you guys don't. There wasn't really video back then, right?
Well,
like you couldn't.
That video's on our site,
real.
I think.
It is, yeah.
But it probably went up like 5 days later, or you're right. I mean, it wasn't really easy to find stuff back then.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if that call happened where, 20,000 people are watching live on Flow or whatever, there's going to be much more outrage than, if it goes up 3 days later. Do you see what I'm saying? It's way different.
For sure. I mean, and I think oh my gosh, I'm watching it
really
now.
bad.
We're pulling it up right now. But I think social media helps with that. I mean, in terms of it makes it a lot tougher to pull some. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to say there was shenanigans. It's just a terrible call. You just can't.
Yeah.
And you know what? The rules kind of make it so that can happen. But we'll show you what we're talking about in case you don't know or haven't seen Metcalf.
It was crazy.
It was a mind-blowing ball draw execution. And yeah, but I think, he referenced it. It was like, yeah, it was maybe not a good call or something. I think he made mention of that. Brent was insanely accountable about everything, all his losses, all his
very
failures.
Self-aware, because even in the Slater high school match, he's like, I thought it was a takedown. I thought he had it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
I really. All right, so we're pulling it up here.
Yeah.
So this is 2010?
Yes.
2010. Yeah, it's 2010. It was in like Council Bluffs, maybe, or somewhere like. Well, what's right across the river from Council Bluffs? I think it was Council Bluffs, I believe.
Pretty raucous crowd.
Yeah. So we got it's the ball draw for.
Oh,
Freyer,
they let him have it.
and they gave it to him.
Look at watch the official.
No.
He so Freyer tries to drop down and touch the leg. Metcalf.
Yeah, go back.
Yeah. Pull it back.
The ref says no, and then awards one for Metcalf.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Freyer doesn't even grab him. He doesn't even get a hold of him. It wasn't even close. And he gives him 1 point.
Oh wait, I think he's calling an attention actually.
Oh wait,
no, but the second. Okay, hold on. You're right. That's an attention. Watch the second one's almost as bad.
It's the exact same. It's
oh my gosh,
it's
he
the exact same thing. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I think the last one was worse. Yeah, Freyer goes off.
Who's losing his mind? Freyer.
Jamil Kelly and I don't know. Is that Pritzlaff?
It looks like Donnie.
Pritzlaff. Yeah, that's who it is. Pritzlaff. You're right.
Oh my gosh. That is not a good.
That's terrible.
Well, in Brent's defense, though, you pretty much had to cheat the clinch to win.
You did. That's how you had to play it.
Like, you might as well just cheat.
Yeah.
There's
it's
no way you're winning straight up.
Basically, you're trying to time the whistle absolutely perfectly. So he's going about it the right way. And
for sure.
Yeah. So that wasn't really the point of the episode at all. That was just, but it kind of did bring it back to light. Like, holy cow, that's as bad a call as you'll see.
And
go
ahead, Ben. No, this is kind of
the last.
You go ahead.
Well, I was the Metcalf thing. The last thing is like, I don't know that I feel like I got closure, and I don't know that I ever will, right? And I'm not entitled to it between Brands and Metcalf. Like, I feel like we got like a tiny snippet of what happened, and I don't feel like we got a lot of resolution to that conflict. I feel like it's kind of still in the air, and I want conflict resolution. So I would like to, sit them down and watch them talk and work it out, and then give each other a hug at the end. But I don't know that's ever going to happen.
I don't know. I don't know. Is there a major love loss? I mean, you listen to Tom talk about Brent. You listen to Brent talk about Tom. It seems to be a lot of great feelings and respect there. And I think just because it didn't end maybe as smooth as any of them wanted, I think you can't eliminate the the entire relationship like that. And I don't think they would,
Sure.
but it's probably won't be like it was unless Brent somehow winds up back at Iowa or something, which would be pretty freaking wild.
Yeah.
I thought the end was one of the best finishes of a film, and just the perspective Brent has about his life and what he's been through. And, there's no, some people are very tortured by their losses and the things that they've experienced. And Brent has like, man, I had a great career and I didn't get what I wanted, but you can genuinely tell that he is really basically unbothered by not being a world or Olympic champion. He is handling it about as well as you could expect a person, which is the exact opposite of how I would expect Brent Metcalf to handle it based on what I knew about him in 2009, 2010. I was like, this is a person who will do something absolutely deranged if he doesn't get what he wants. That's why I was like, that's just what I remember thinking. And I really liked Brent as a collegiate athlete. I was just like, kind of because of how hardcore he was. And when he lost to Caldwell, I was like, dude, this guy, I can't imagine what he's going to be saying after this. And he's like, it's like one of the best interviews I've ever seen after he lost to Caldwell. I was like, I can't believe he faced the music. I was like, this guy's talking to people after this? It's like, you just lost in maybe one of the biggest upsets in NCAA history, and you are facing the music in front of all these people. You totally don't have to do that, and you're doing it in a very, I found it to be, in general, very accountable way. He was pretty mad about the backflip and all that, and either they booing me kind of thing, but it's funny how you get to know these people and not that, you do feel like you get to know the guy a little bit just watching that and learning about him.
For sure.
It's one of the best ones. I really enjoyed it, and glad you did too.
Hey, Christian, the other thing that I'm kind of surprised we didn't bring up with the first set, Fresno State, and someone's talking about it in the chat, and I read about it. But the Pennsylvania schools are combining. But from what I read, it feels like they're only combining the administrations, which is great because we need less administrations.
Oh my gosh.
Administration. We need less administrators.
Yes.
But it seems like the individual institutions will still stand on their own. It is what it appears. But Bloomsburg, Lock Haven, and Mansfield are combining, and then California, Clarion, and Edinburgh. So each of those groups of three have 2 wrestling schools. But it does sound like they're gonna still maintain their individuality while having the same administration.
Well, that makes sense. Seems smart.
Less administrators. That's what we all need. Less administrators.
Yeah, Coach Tirapelli was saying they're something like they have like 10 athletic directors or something at Fresno.
Oh yeah,
totally bananas.
That's all colleges right now. It's ridiculous. I think Mizzou has like 20.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Everyone has a
super necessary.
And they need to justify their existence, obviously.
Yes. Okay. Man,
I was going to read that. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong article, Christian. So it says, this move was proposed as a way to cut costs after years of declining enrollment. Under the plan, that 3 schools would operate as a single university for management and workers, but keep their individual names. So I'm assuming that means they would still, athletically, they would still compete individually, is what it feels like.
Yes, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want to lose that. Oh, one thing, man, I forget how this tied into something we were talking. Oh, I remember. We were talking about how the Russians don't really optimize for all the events. They'll just kind of show up to some. And Sadulayev was talking about Kyle Snyder and his losses, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, I think we will meet at the World Championships. And Snyder defeats, I think, mean nothing. It's quite American. This is due to the fact that they fight in any tournament, in any form, but they're always ready for the World Cup and the Olympics. So you can't write it off. I think that's
sounds like a very respectful statement on Sedulayev.
Yes, very respectful. And then, how did you feel about David Taylor's comments on Instagram? I don't know what he wanted. His weight is small. Again, this is American. Again, this is American. They love the show. Apparently wanted to make money. But all this is not so interesting to me. The World Championship is ahead, and no money can be compared with a medal of the World Championship or the Olympics. Money is there today.
Whoa.
Tomorrow is not. But gold medals are history. Sadulayev 2020. My gosh.
Sadulayev's a freaking philosopher.
I loved it. That's a freaking money quote. Pun intended.
We
was
were
really
talking
good.
about it a lot in the office yesterday because Spade was like, I don't get it. Like, he should want the money. And like me and JD and Beta were like, well, that's not what matters to him.
He's
like his like legacy and what he leaves behind and what he means to Russia means much more to him.
Yeah, think about
Yes.
Well, one, he's like set for life, probably for what.
Okay,
he's
that's the
done.
point I was going to make, Christian, is that money's not an object if you're good with the money, right?
But he's also
Money's
not.
an object.
He's not like a Chamizo that's just like flaunting all this stuff on Instagram. Like, he's a very modest like farmer, pretty much.
But he probably still has what he wants because I mean, from what I've heard, obviously, and what you guys heard, Russia takes care of their guys that win. And so I'm sure he's very well taken care of, and doesn't have huge monetary desires. So it's probably like that part of him is likely fulfilled.
Yes, I agree with that, but I also think it's like, man, the best competitors. I think that is kind of what they don't think about. I mean, LeBron James has more money than he could ever spend, right? But it's all about making, having a legacy. Think about Jordan, how fueled he was at the end there, right?
Because money's not an issue. They don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that. But yes, it's not an issue.
I mean, listen, if you're a poor wrestler who's living check to check in America, which I'm sure there's many that fit that category, who have no savings, no retirement, and you're offered, hey, a $20,000 tournament or a payday like that, that's really nice. Sadulayev, I'm sure he's being taken care of very well by the Russian government. I'm sure he knows he probably will be for life. And so what's he going to worry about? LeBron James, he doesn't have to worry about money ever. Michael Jordan, same thing, right? So these guys, when money is not an issue, they can't be driven by money.
Okay, good point.
Yeah. But
I just think,
but that was a fantastic quote.
It's just not like, it really is more about medals. Even if he wasn't set and Russia wasn't going to take care of him, I think he really cares more about the medals and the legacy. I
think Sadulayev's a super old school mentality guy, old soul. That's just my read based on things I've read about him. He seems like he's been a hard worker his entire life. He's been, I don't know.
But that's more of a youthful approach because there's a quote I'm trying to think of, and I can't think of it, and I can't think who said it, but something to the effect of legacy doesn't pay your bills. Of MMA fighters who fought in the early days who did not make a lot of money because there wasn't a lot of money. I mean, they might have been making on the high end $50,000 a fight, and now they're old and they're beat up, and all the fans love them, but that adoration doesn't pay their bills, right? And they still have this really hard life because they have a hard time paying their bills month to month. And so that legacy is great and all, but it doesn't help when they're 42 or 45 and retired. It doesn't help them pay their bills. So, again, you can go back to Sadulayev and listen, it's not all about the money, but when you have the money, it's easy to say that. Is you don't have to think about it when you're trying to scrape by. And obviously, he's probably not, who knows, he'll probably be taken care of forever. But some guys, when they're 27, they're not thinking of what their life's going to be like when they're 47. And yeah.
Okay. So thought that was a quote worth sharing.
Very good.
Yes, I agree. So we did Russian Nationals. Want to talk a little bit with everything that's going on with new rule changes, the Penn State lineup, what we think it could potentially look like coming in this year, because obviously the lineup we were thinking it could be 2 weeks ago compared to what it's likely going to be is going to be very different, right? And so I honestly I think we need to do a virtual whiteboard war with this one at some point. Because I think
with who?
Among ourselves.
Against who, though?
Penn State versus
who? Iowa. Sorry.
Oh. Well, okay, so hey, let me ask you a question, because I didn't know you were going to bring up Penn State today, but since you did, got to bring up this one match. And I tweeted at Kale yesterday. Dude, I went back and looked at Bryce Meredith's U.S. Open December 2019. That one?
Yeah.
Dude, you must think really highly of Bo Bartlett. If they're putting him up against Bryce Meredith, they must think he's really, really good. Meredith, I should go back and find it. Meredith had a really good tournament, which ended with him losing to Molinaro in the 5th place match. 7-6 or 6-5, something like that. But man, he had a good tournament. And you got to think, if they think that Bryce Meredith can beat, if Bo Bartlett can beat Bryce Meredith tonight, that they think he's really, really good enough to beat Nick Lee or Roman Bravo Young, I would think.
Listen, we're gonna be talking about Bo Bartlett tomorrow. He is.
You think he's that good?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. We're gonna be talking about Bo Bartlett tomorrow. We're gonna be talking about him all year. I don't know what weight he's going to go.
How do you know he's that good? What inside information do you have?
I've watched him.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. We're gonna be talking about him tomorrow, and I think.
So are you predicting he's gonna beat Bryce Meredith? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, you're so sure about this. Why are you so sure?
I don't know. What? I'm just confident. I think Bo's.
Damn it all.
I think Bo's really, really good. I think it'll be he or Nick Lee at 41-49. I think he's going to be in the mix to place really high at either of those weights.
Okay, hold on. I went and found Bryce Meredith. Okay, so here's what Bryce Meredith did last year at the Senior Nationals. Okay, he tech-falled Josh Saunders. He tech-falled Dean Heil. Loses to Oliver. Tech-falls Ethan Lezak. Tech-falls Josh Saunders again. And while you might say, okay, that's only a high school kid he tech-falled twice.
No,
let me read you the rest of Josh Saunders' tournament. Josh Saunders beat Dom Demas. He tech-falled Nick Dardanes, and he beat Joey Laser, who also beat Frank Molinaro that day. So, Bryce Meredith is really good.
He's excellent. I thought he wrestled as this is a guy that's made NCAA finals, beat a lot of really good dudes. I thought he looked amazing at Senior Nationals.
Yes.
He's super, super good. Super good.
Yeah. So I was like, I didn't really, I went back and looked because I was curious, maybe I'm misremembering, and I'm like, damn, wow. Okay. They must think Bo Bartlett's really, really good.
Yeah. I think that they do think that.
So one of the matches I'm interested in is Kirkwood's rolling back out there. He's facing Demetrius Thomas. Demetrius Thomas just beat Orndorff last weekend or 2 weekends ago, whatever it was. If he goes and kills Demetrius Thomas 10-0 like he did to Hamida, are you putting him ranked number 2 in the NCAA, or what are you doing?
Is it a freestyle match?
Yeah.
Then no.
But isn't it kind of irrelevant when he goes 5 takedowns
what this
to
match
0?
will show you.
Listen,
He's already pieced up Jordan Wood at U23 trials last year.
He's going to destroy.
He's going to tech fall him. I think that's the expectation.
Thomas.
Yes,
for sure.
Did you see what he did to Hamida? Hamida's really legit.
Yeah, what did Hamida finish at the 5th?
6.
I'm looking it up.
6. He got beat by Chade.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah. But Hamida only lost to Don Bradley 3-2.
Because he got ran into the board. He got boarded. Bradley should have been doing 2 minutes in the penalty box.
He got checked into the boards.
Yeah, that's boarding.
All right, let's play it again.
You know, Tyler's got it. Dude. It happened in a jiu-jitsu freaking match too. But this guy's a legitimate lunatic. His name's Tex Johnson. He only hurts people.
So,
you guys are Tex. What
his name's Tex Johnson. He just straight up punches people in the face in the middle of jiu-jitsu fights, and then acts like he has no idea why he got disqualified.
So you guys are then. I guess you guys are already putting Kirkwood in the NCAA finals against Gable, or what?
Well, there's this guy. His name's Mason Paris, and he's ridiculous.
I mean, I think those three are on a different level than everybody else.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I feel like heavyweight's on a different level than it's been in a while.
It's amazing. It's an incredible weight. Tyler's teasing us. I think he's got it right.
He's got it.
He's got it. Here we go.
He's not gonna play.
The backbreaker. Dumb. Those guys just love slamming each other into things.
Oh, Tyler, thank you. Thank you for your service. That's fantastic.
There it is.
Oh, man. Okay, one last one. You know my other hero's wrestling tonight, Carter Soroki. Does it tell us anything if he beats Devin Skatska? Because Skatska is not great, but he's good. He wrestled 86 kg, so he's a little bigger. He lost to Farr in a relatively close match. Does it tell us anything if he loses to him?
Yeah.
Or beats him.
Yeah, so I think what was the thing we were saying about Starocki? We watched him and we're like, this kid's got it. Whatever it is, he's got it. He's really good. But you look at the guys he got to face and it's like, all right, well, not a ton of rigor there. So Skatska is definitely a guy where you're like, all right, this dude is really legit, top 8 guy throughout his career. He can go with him and I think he's going to beat him, right? I think it's going to kind of validate the conversations we've been having around him, and I think that's going to happen. I think he's going to beat Skatska somewhat soundly.
Skatska wrestled at Senior Nationals. He beat Austin Krazer first round, then lost straight matches to Lujan and Brett Farr.
Yes. So I think he will win. So yeah, excited to see these young bucks scrap throughout the year.
Man, there's a lot of people in the chat who are thinking that Meredith's going to win.
All right, well, we'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, the other one that, John Kozak's right. Our intro to the show should be Bradley Hamida. Like to get people fired up, ready to go.
Yeah, that'll do
every
it.
day. Wait, Kale said who's the hardest worker he's ever had?
I don't know.
This is my buddy John in the chat.
I call BS on that because they literally had to tell Nick Suriano to stop working out.
Yeah,
that is true. That is true.
They had to change Nick Suriano's badge and key card to lock him out of the thing.
Lock him out. Yeah,
sneak in.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I wonder is he talking about Starocki?
Or is he talking about Bartlett?
Or is he talking about
should have been more
people.
Specific. Hey,
could be talking about Varner.
Oh gosh, Colton Schultz. Can Colton Schultz figure out this folks out there and get in the mix? Because
oh man, I hope so.
Yeah, because he's so good at Greco, and he was obviously really high level in high school. But we haven't seen him. I don't think we've seen him in a folk style match against any of these dudes, have we?
Okay, there was
I know he lost one match last year, but other than that,
I'm trying to think back to high school. He might have beaten Kirkfleet in a random NHSCA duels thing. I could be completely misremembering. I think he had a really big win over one of the guys at but I just can't remember. I don't think we had it, but I think it happened.
Really?
Got it. Could be misremembering, but I think that it was something along those lines. Someone might know in the chat. But yeah, Schultz, he certainly could be. There's an element of mystery as we haven't seen him a ton, and he's been really high level at Greco. I think he's going to be more in the Cassiope, Hilger kind of tier than. That's
what I'm saying. Cassiope, Hilger, most years would be right there to challenge or win an NCAA title, and I feel like they're all a step back from those other three that we've mentioned, which says a lot about how deep that weight class is.
I mean, it's just 3. I think they're probably in 8 to 10 months. We'll say this is 3 probably world class guys. I mean, Gable is already
literally world class.
I mean, Mason and Gable are unquestionably so, right? I mean, they're on the level. I mean, you don't win that many age level championships between those two and not be world class. And then, Mason follows it up by really running through senior nationals. And then there is some projection with Kirkfleet, but I think it'll be validated within the next year or so that he's on that level, right? And this is a guy, and he went 3-2 with Gable in high school, a year younger than Gable.
And smaller at that point.
Smaller, he bumped up.
He was wrestling 215 or 220, whatever the high school weight class is.
Yep, 220. So with that, I think it's just a very special class.
Joe, we had some activity in the chat. So John Veal specified that it was Carter Soroki, and then Justin Bosch, who's got a podcast, said KL was on his podcast, and that's what he said.
Well, there you go.
And then Kozak said Colton Schultz has the biggest neck in the NCAA.
He does by far.
Is it really? Can we get a measurement on that?
Yeah. Now that Don Bradley's not around, it's going to be Colton Schultz. Okay. All right.
No neck Colton.
So anyway, I think maybe we'll just use this as a tee up for tomorrow, and we can do a full whiteboard war. But I think Penn State.
We're doing a whiteboard war?
Why not? What else we got to do? We'll talk about Super 32.
Super 32's coming. I mean, listen, I'm excited. I was kind of getting depressed about some of the non-wrestling happening last Friday, some announcements of high school stuff, getting sad. And then I got to watch a whole weekend of wrestling. My guys were competing, and it was just really enjoyable. And then I got really excited about the next 2 weeks because we got Super 32s. It's going to be so much fun. And then we have preseason, and then 2 weeks later we have UWW juniors. I'm pumped.
You're jacked, but you're not going to Myrtle Beach, right? You acted like
I'm not going.
Is that when you said you didn't get selected to go?
Yeah, Boston picked him to go.
I got kicked out.
That was my favorite.
I think we have 5 coaches going though. I mean, we have 33 guys going from our club.
Oh my gosh,
be wild. Yeah, it's packed.
Y'all gonna have a whole floor at the Red Roof.
Well, I think we got a couple Airbnbs. Is what I believe we ended up doing.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a Red Roof.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Christian Biles is our travel agent. We actually had a lot of guys pre-qualified this year. I think right around 20. But then for whatever reason in the past, we've had no luck getting extra guys in. You know what I'm saying, where they do the pre-registration period, pre-qualified, and then they open it up. We've had almost no luck previously getting people in, and this year I think we got 8 extra people in or something like that. So I think we have 31, 32 people going to Super 32. So it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited.
That's awesome. Are there any why don't you put some extra pressure on some of your guys and make predictions for how they'll do?
No, I'm not going to do that. I think I'll tell you, I think we don't have very many people in the national rankings right now, but I think we have, we had 2 guys who beat their first national ranked guy at the AWA duels. We had 2 guys who beat their first national ranked guy last weekend at the USA Club duels. So we got a lot of guys who are kind of right under that radar where I think they can make that step up. Now, Super 32 is the toughest tournament. I think, in my opinion, toughest high school tournament that there is. So, yeah, I really think so. So I think there's, this is the weekend that a handful of these guys can kind of make their mark and step up to that level where they're going to get their names in the national rankings.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
With the guys you got going, do you feel, compare year over year, do you feel like they're just as prepared as they've been, going to Super 32 last year with the training restrictions, if there have been any?
We really haven't had much up here. So yeah, no, they're ready. And actually, I think I would say at the club duels last weekend, I don't want to say we were gassing everyone out, but we were definitely, I feel like, the better in shape team. And as the matches went on, our guys were having more success. And something we saw, I think we saw at Who's Number One, is it did look like, we had those few injuries, and it looked like there's been some guys who maybe didn't have ideal training regimens. And we know in New York, New Jersey, there are some states which are significantly more locked down. and those guys are having a tough time finding really good training. So yeah, I felt like we were really prepared. I feel like we're really prepared, and this week, and I'm excited to see all the matches.
Is it because you guys train in those altitude training masks?
We do not. We're not training those. But the thing is, I was just telling someone about this last night. Super 32 is so freaking deep. I remember one of my guys who's pretty good. He lost on he won a few matches and then he lost on the front side. But it goes like round of 256. So you could win like 2 or 3 matches and still be like in the round of 32 or something.
Yeah.
It's not like you win 2 matches, you're in the quarters. And he went in the wrestlebacks and he lost a 2-1 match to some guy, and I was really annoyed. I thought he was just some bum from Virginia, and it turned out he was Colin Girardi, who's I think he's a starter at Virginia Tech now. But it's like there's so many guys like that who are like also under the radar who are really good, and so you got to be ready for every single match, Super 32, because the brackets, not only are there a lot of high end talent, but it's really, really deep as well.
Yeah, no, it's quite, just looking at the previews, all the names of notable guys. It's not just the ranked dudes. Like how long the lists are of guys to watch too, and you have to be pretty freaking legit to just have your name down. So yeah, a lot of. I mean, the bar is crazy. There was only one kid I was ever like, yeah, you should see how you do. You should try it, right? See what happens. Like he won or did really good at the qualifier. I think he won like a Super 32 type of thing qualifier. And I was like, yeah, let's try it. He went 1 and 2, like barely won. The match he won, he almost lost. And it's just like, and the guys he loses to they like lose the next round. So you're like, oh my, it's very eye opening. This kid was an undefeated state champion type of guy. And it just, how good the brackets are is insane.
I mean, one of the things I would say as a college coach to that the Super 32 is very telling in is that sometimes it's a duel or something. You got to put one match together and beat a good guy, right? But this term, you see who get put match after match after match. Who has that really consistent performance? Because you guys know there's got some guys who they're up and their high end is really high. But their low end is really low. They can lose to some really bad guys. And so at Super 32, what you have to be able to put consistent performances together. You can't have this up and down type of performances because you're going to lose. There's just no doubt about that. The low end talent there or the low end skill level guys are not all that low.
Yes, very true. And I think to run the gauntlet, you have to have a number of competencies, right? You've got to be able to get away from an elite rider, get out of legs. Some guy, you're going to hit almost every different skill set along the path. So if you have a major vulnerability, it'll get exposed and you'll probably lose.
Yeah, I agree.
Chip the Ripper won Super 32. Scott Ross.
Did he really?
Oh, yeah. He won. It was 2013.
Who'd he beat?
I don't know. I just remember he won.
Got it.
Okay. So wanna switch up to some questions?
We can go questions. Yeah, tomorrow we can talk about some of the Penn State guys. I am very interested to see how legit Bo Bartlett is and Kirk Flitt and Soroki. I'm interested to see those ones. We'll talk about that. And then I'm pumped. I don't feel like maybe you guys should do this, but make predictions for Super 32. I don't feel like I'm in touch with the high school level enough to make good, accurate predictions, but I would like to hear someone else do it.
Yeah.
Chip Ness beat Derek White, by the way.
Derek White,
the heavyweight?
Yeah.
The future heavyweight, I mean.
4-2.
At what, 189 or something?
195.
195. Got it.
Ben has no idea.
Why did I just said old high school weight class?
I know. You've been
Where did that come from?
I don't know. You also did that with Kirk Fleet's weight. You're like, was that 215 or 220? 215.
Oh, that one's excused. That one's excusable.
No,
who knows?
That's an excused absence, Ben. Sorry.
You know what? They not that I want to cut opportunities, but I wouldn't mind. We could stay at 14 weight classes, which I know some people don't agree with. They want to less. I wouldn't mind if they did take out one upper weight and threw one back in the middle, because those middle weights are so deep and the upper weights are not nearly as deep as the middle weights are. If you look at the curve of kids, it's definitely a bell curve, and there's way more kids in that 32, 38, 45, 52 range is just so deep compared to the upper weights.
Yeah, the 220 and the 195 and the 82 all being, I did not like it when that came out, and those were tougher weights to fill, and you got 82s going 220, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It was never good. Okay. Dan Seafring, by my count, there are 13 D1 schools that don't have football. Are these programs at more or less risk of being cut, or do you feel there's no correlation to having a football program? Well,
so it's 13 Division I wrestlings that don't have a football. Is that what he's saying?
Right.
I think they're in better shape.
I mean, yeah. Look at the last 3 that have dropped. All have football programs.
And they're all trying to save money because they're losing money because the football season was in doubt.
Yeah.
ODU's conference played football and they didn't even play.
Really?
Are the California schools playing football? Or they're probably not, right?
No, they're coming back.
They're playing the California colleges are playing football.
Yes.
Like currently, like right now.
No, they're getting ready to. They're practicing right now.
You're going to start football in November?
Yes, they are.
What's
the Pac-12
what's their
is.
plan? Christian, they need a plan. You need to help them.
Pac-12's playing 7 games. Big Ten came back, so Pac-12 had to follow.
Yeah, they can only do what the Big Ten does, or they get in big trouble.
But so, when are they starting?
November 6th.
And so they finish like in January or something?
No, they're doing like 7 games, so they'll finish mid-December.
Can they win like the national title though with 7 games?
They'll be like, and the playoff committee's not going to not consider them, but they're not going to make it.
There's a playoff. There's playoffs this year.
Yeah, there's gonna be like the Final Four.
It's a Final Four. They do a semi.
You guys know I only pay attention to wrestling. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so ignorant.
So there's a committee. There's a committee that down like the last month of the season ranks the 4 top 4 teams, and then at the end of the year, 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. Winner of those games play for the national championship.
Okay.
The Pac-12 can technically be considered for the playoff, but I don't think any team is good enough to make it. And 2, I don't think any team will go undefeated, or like they're so far off the radar right now.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't know how to answer this question. Hopefully, Ben. But from Ben Sesteric, what are we supposed to do if even Gaethje gets smashed by Khabib? I don't know what we're supposed to do.
That there's a definite possibility that that's going to happen. I don't know what this guy's issue is, but does he realize Khabib's really, really good at fighting?
Yeah, he's maybe one of the best to ever do it ever, right?
But yeah, I mean,
undefeated.
He's absolutely in the conversation of GOAT. Some people would probably argue against him for a few reasons, but he's absolutely in that category. Man, you guys should watch. There's this video that I think it was BT Sport made yesterday. I put it on my Twitter. It was so good about Khabib and his father. Ooh, I almost teared up. I didn't tear up, Christian. I almost did. It was very good. You should watch it.
Oh man, that'll be right in my wheelhouse. No, for real. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know a ton about fighting, but I know that guy is super. I mean, he embarrassed Conor McGregor. I remember that.
Yes, that was not competitive.
That was a dismantling. I don't know why Conor would ever take that fight again. He will never beat him, in my opinion.
I don't think ever.
So why take it? He's gonna box Manny Pacquiao apparently.
Hey, he's full of crap.
Connor's
yeah, he's jumping the shark now.
Really? He's still very popular though, right?
Of course, but people are starting to get more and more sick of his shenanigans. And you know, one of the things that I believe, and I'm not the only one. There's other people, smart people who said this. Is that, you know, in his lead up to building that huge amount of popularity, one of the things that the UFC allowed him to do was act like he had power, act like he called the shots, and that definitely contributed to a lot of his fame and a lot of how much people thought of him. And now they're doing the opposite, right? He's saying, "Oh, I'm fighting Dustin Poirier on December 12th," and they're saying, "For charity." No, you're not. And then he's saying, "Well, I'm fighting Dustin Poirier. It's in AT&T Stadium." Dan's saying, that's not going to happen. You know, so they're kind of like pulling his power away there. I don't want to say they're embarrassing him, but, you know, Conor's coming out here with these really bold statements, and UFC said, "Yeah, right, get lost."
Yeah.
You know, and I think that really hurts a lot of the mystique.
Yeah, I think so. He does when you posture that you have this power and it's like revealed time and time again, you don't. It's not the best look.
Not the best look at all.
Okay. Let's see another. Oh, what do we know about 8th grader PJ Duke beating Steve O'Poulin recently? I don't know if we ever talked about this, but this definitely happened.
Rumors, but I don't know
It
anything about it.
We didn't, because I believe it happened the same weekend as Senior Nationals.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
But it was
Where was it at?
Buxton's Duels, I think.
Okay.
There's apparently results were kept on paper.
Love it.
Someone had a YouTube video of it, but the video is listed as private, so you can see it, but you can't watch it.
Wow.
What a tease.
I believe it was 7-3.
Dang. What?
PJ Duke
good, huh?
made history.
Where in New York is he from?
I don't know exactly where. I believe he's an Empire Academy guy, though.
New York metro area.
But he made history last year. He won. He was the first 7th grader to win New York State's.
Wait, that's possible? I thought you couldn't wrestle the 7th. I thought only an 8th grader.
You can.
You can do 7th grade.
Really?
In New York. Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay.
He won it at 99 pounds.
Okay.
But he is wrestling 113 this weekend at Super 32, and I really think he can win.
Wow.
Obviously, if he's just beating Steve-O, he can win.
You beat Steve-O.
Yeah.
Is Steve-O going to be at Super 32?
I
don't think
he's not at 113. I know that because I did that preview. I don't think he's entered though.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, so there's another star. I mean, you got Mason Gibson, who's going to be a 9th grader. He won Super 32 as an 8th grader. Now we could have another 8th grader win.
Yeah, there'd never been an 8th grader won until Crookham did in 17, I think, and then Gibson did last year, and now PJ Duke will try to do it again this weekend.
I kind of love that the results are just kept on paper a little bit. You know, part of me obviously wants to see it like you guys do, but then part of me likes that. You know, I feel as though not every high school match needs to be built up into this spectacle. Now, it's good sometimes, obviously, right? And they want to feel that pressure, but other times, like, let's just show up and wrestle. Actually, I think Izzy and I are going to do some type of like scrimmage exhibition where, you know, we're not going to video it and there's not going to be results anywhere. It's just going to be, hey, let's get our guys some matches. Let's show up and wrestle each other. And I think that's kind of, I don't want to say, it's kind of important to just have those low pressure, let's get together, let's scrap type of matches.
Yeah. No, I think there's something to that for sure. Need to have that some opportunity for, I don't know, there's a development aspect, right? And I think development should be able to happen, you know, somewhat privately or without, you know, fear of like what the match 100%. Means. But it's tough when you build a reputation for yourself. It's sort of difficult. So, City Wrestling guy, who will be Russia's 74 kilogram rep? I think it'll be Zamolov. I think he beat the guy that beat the guy. 2020, it's going to be a different sort of scenario. And I don't think he's going to have like, normally they would have their nationals and then they would send guys to Euros and then kind of use that as intel, but I don't think there's going to be anything like that. They're just going to probably have maybe a couple tune-up tournament or something.
That's the young guy, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you look at, like, when I was looking at his database, he was second at Junior Worlds, and he won U23s. Like, this is what Russia does.
Yeah, they work them up through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, if he was a junior in 2018, so that means he was, 20 or under. So
well, come on, Christian. You think they care about age when they're considering those brackets?
Well, okay, it puts him in the range of 20s from 20 to 23.
He's somewhere between 20 and 25.
Yeah.
19 and 27.
Yeah. He maybe could rent a car if he were in America, or he maybe would not be able to. We don't know for sure. But he's not as old as Gabe Dean, who you won't stop calling 30, Ben. He could be Gabe Dean's age, actually.
Yeah, he could be.
He could be Gabe Dean's
26.
Age.
Yeah,
he could be Gabe Dean's
31.
Why does Gabe Dean get older every show?
It's a reverse Kyle Dake.
Yeah, is he reverse
Kyle
Dake
is stealing his years. Yes, reverse daking.
Hope that's a term that we continue to use. Okay.
That was a good one.
Thank you. Who has the best underhook offense in the game? Well, in the game.
We're talking about in the American game
today.
or the international game. What are we talking about?
Take it whichever game you want. I think in America, the best underhook is probably in freestyle. Is it? Well, could be Dake, although he's not
Dake's
as
he's
not as reliant as someone like Joe Colon is, who has a really, really.
But Joe Colon last time has to go to double underhooks most of the time, so that's not underhook, that's double.
Oh, okay, that's a good point. I kind of feel like
Gilman's got a good underhook.
Very good, very good underhook.
Who else? Jaden doesn't. Kyle doesn't really.
No, the heavyweights really don't.
And usually the heavyweights are the ones with the underhooks.
David really doesn't use it a lot. He kind of uses a lot of everything. But he's more collar tie. He doesn't. Ringer's got a really good underhook.
Ringer's got a good underhook. Yeah,
very good.
Oh, Nichols got a good underhook.
Yes. So in the game, who are we going to declare the best underhook? It's easy to just say Dake.
I'll go with Gilman.
Miles Martin's got a really good underhook as well. When he uses it. Mm-hmm. Kind of an underrated aspect. I think he's pretty good with it. Okay, here's a question that definitely only Ben Askren can probably answer. It's very technical in nature. Watching Rush, this is from Actual Cannibal, which I don't think it's the best. We're still indulging this guy that he's literally just eats people, but here we are. It's a good question.
Oh, we forgot about Imar. John Veal's on fire today.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
This is great. Outstanding.
John Veal. Yeah, that's definitely a big forgotten one. And yeah, Yazdani is definitely the answer internationally. He just melts everyone with it.
Seriously. Except David Taylor.
Except David Taylor, who melts him. But he sometimes... Wait, hold on. Sometimes he gets pre-melted. He gets thawed a little bit by the underhook. But then Yazdani gets so tired, then he's completely... he liquefies.
I mean,
in David's
that
hand.
World Cup match, it was World Cup, right? Where Yazdani just threw David around for 3 minutes. It was like, holy shit, is this happening? Like, this dude was just punking David Taylor. Like, what is going on right now? And then all of a sudden he melted. It was wild.
He did melt. Dude, David almost got cautioned out. He could not stay on the mat. It was like, it's one of those things. That's kind of when the cautions are sort of ridiculous. It's like, believe me, David does not want to get backed out in an underhook. There's like sometimes not a lot of chances.
That was crazy. That match was wild.
Yes, that was wild. And then he pinned him, baby. So here's the question from an Actual Cannibal. Watching Russian Nationals, I noticed a lot of guys have trouble finishing low-level singles in the medal matches. Seem like they get in and put shoulder pressure high on the back of the calf and hang on while the other guy kicked out. Why not shelf it or come back Iranian style? Is there some Russian thing I'm missing?
So he's saying, let me read this again. Sometimes I have sometimes auditory and I need to see it happen. Seems like they'd get in, put shoulder pressure high on the back of the calf and hang on while the other guy kicked out. Why not shelf it or come back? Because someone good is not going to let you attack above the knee, right? When I'm defending a single leg and they get the corner on me, I can't let them have my knee. If they have my knee, they're going to win the position, right? So someone good is not going to let them have the knee and it's going to force them down below the knee. And from that position, it is hard to score. And the Russians are very slick from that position with, what I call a Hamlin, where they spin, the kickaways, where maybe they go over the body and they end up in a crotch lock. They have a whole bunch of options from there. So, yeah, I mean, when you're it's just like when I was shooting singles on Chris Pendleton, he was so good with that shin whizzer. When you shoot a single, if the defending guy is really good at getting you off their knee, it's really hard to stay on their knee. I mean, ideally, technically, that's what you do, but being able to say it and being able to know it are different than being able to do it. And being able to do it against someone really good is really, really hard. You think of, another guy would be Mason Paris is really good there, getting them below the knee and then spinning on them. Oh my gosh, Bajrang. I was thinking Yazdani. Bajrang is really good from there. I think just defensively, and I think defensively when someone shoots a single on me, they're not going to capture my knee. They're just not, right? I'm going to get them off my knee, and then I'm going to have a handful of options of what I'm going to do. So I think it's just a position that defensively, it's better to it's easier to be good defensively than it is offensively. And so I think that's the answer to the question.
Okay.
That's why I can't stand all these, and I don't know the actual cannibals, but some of these hardo coaches are just like, this is just what you do. And it's just like, I mean, I get that's what you do in theory. Technically, that's the correct thing. But now, like, doing it on a really high level guy is another thing. And so some of these coaches they're way too tough to admit that, you know, in theory, understanding a technique and then executing on someone really good are two totally different things. And that kind of frustrates me sometimes.
Well, what you have to remember is like not everyone's even equipped to solve that problem for their guy. Like if you could see a problem and you would maybe even probably be able to figure it out, and I could see it and I'd be like, yeah, I see what he's doing. I really don't know how to fix that. So it's easy to kind of anchor back to the things you do know. But you got to be humble.
But it's just that self-awareness, Christian. It's
Yeah.
the self-awareness saying, I would love you to go capture the knee and shelf it up. But in reality, you like me. I'll just say with myself, me capturing Chris Pendleton's knee and shelving it up. I don't think that ever happened. Not once. I shot a lot of single legs. I don't think I ever captured his knee and shelved it up. Now, would I have loved to capture his knee and shelf him up and score an easy takedown? Yeah, I would have, right? It just didn't happen because he was really good defensively from that position. And so, you know, that's where I go that tactically, it's like, and this could be a lot of different things, but you shoot a single leg and some guy is really good there. Well, stop shooting single legs. Do something else, right? Snap them down, shoot a double leg, go use an underhook to score a high level single, right? Go to a high crotch. You know, tactically, you have to attack them in a manner that's different than the one that they want you to.
I wish I could figure out why the Europeans and Russians can just kick out with such ease. It's just so bizarre that how easy they make it look. I don't know what it is they do. I've asked people and like explain it to me. I think I asked Tony Ramos before because he was having there were guys he would get to that single and they'd be able to kick out on him. I'm like, what's that like? What are they doing there? And I don't really understand it, but
yeah, I think this was a kind of a common theme with so I had a lot of college guys in the room this summer because they couldn't train with their colleges, and this was a common theme that we talked about a lot. Is like it's easy, but it's not easy, right? So Bajrang, he's so good at spinning, and for me, I can explain to you technically how you should do that, Christian. I get it, right? And I can explain to these high schools technically how they should do it. But there's very few people, especially non-heavyweights, right? Because heavyweight, you can put a little more force there, so it's a little bit easier. He's a 145 or 143 pounder. He gets that move so frequently, I can't really explain it. He just has a feel for it. There's just something, a little movement he's making that he probably can't even verbalize that's making that really, really successful. And so to my guys, it's like, listen, I can tell you how to do this. You got to get a feel for it. You got to feel it out. You got to get in there over and over and over and over again and just, feel it and tweak it and be critical of yourself and, just keep doing it over and then find that rhythm and then you get it, And so it's like Bajrang's not really doing anything that's all that different. There's just some little minutia of what he's doing that and he probably can't even explain it. That's different than everyone else. And that's why he gets it so frequently.
Yeah, I think that's common. I think I mentioned that even last Thursday about Mako and his foot sweep. It's just like,
that's a great one, yeah.
I mean, bring the back step and bring the foot forward and trip, but like that's not what he was doing. And I've watched him because I remember just watching him hit it so many times. I was like, how does he do it? This is amazing because it's like it's such an incredible move because there's such low exertion. It's so he's finishing with literally just fall on top of the guy in general. So I'm like, how does he do it? And I watched him even teach it. I'm like, okay, that's not it though. There's something else that he does. That I think to your point, it's like, maybe he doesn't even, there's just some innate feel that he has.
Absolutely. Yeah, amazing. The theory of it, you just collar time, you foot sweep them. They ain't so hard. But then, hey, go execute it on national champion level people. And, who else has it with such frequency? And the answer is nobody.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, even at the senior level, you don't see... In the women's wrestling, you'll see it at a high level, but you don't see it much. In like Helen's got an amazing foot sweep. A couple of our ladies do, but man, at the senior level, you just don't see it. You do not see foot sweeps in general.
Hey, so I just got a text, and I'll just read this.
Okay.
At this source, I don't know how reliable they are. It was
Perfect.
7-5 Duke. Steve-O was winning 5-3 and dominating the match, but starting to backpedal a little. Had Duke's leg up in a single with 30 seconds left, and Duke hit Steve-O with the defensive ankle pick for 2-2. Steve-O had 2 takedowns and was in several other times. Duke is excellent, but Steve-O lost the match by losing focus at the end.
Okay, so late win for PJ. Interesting.
So that's the text I just got.
Okay. Cool.
They must have the secret code that Kyle doesn't have to get the private YouTube video.
Yeah, dude. Come on, Kyle.
Well, they said they put it in private. Someone made it private after they uploaded it.
Interesting.
So they saw that someone uploaded it and then made it private.
Thinking about someone who really never gets to have a match that's just a match in high school is Steve-O. It's like this kid was famous as a third grader.
That's true.
And I bet he has been in the spotlight ever since, right? 8th grade, 7th grade on up through.
Sure.
The great thing is he has, in spite of that, been absolutely outstanding and a great wrestler. But that, I bet that has to be tough, that every single match. I'm sure there was a huge crowd of people around that match and this very innocuous duels thing, but they knew that match. They knew Steve-O, this young 8th grader, against him. And sure, it's put him in a ton of high pressure situations, which I think is probably overall to his benefit, but it's got to be tough.
Agreed.
Okay. It's 9:42. Deep in the heart of Texas.
I got to take a pee so bad, Christian.
You've been doing good recently.
I had 2 cups of coffee this morning. That's the issue.
So you don't see a lot of people here in Texas, they'll get a cup of coffee, they'll drink it, then they'll refill it. You just get 2 cups.
Christian, you realize I can't, once I sit here, I can't go. You know what? I should, you know what I was thinking? I could probably put a coffee pot right here. I have a little stand right next to me. I could probably put a coffee pot right here, and then I could just pour my coffee while we're on the show.
I got really scared you were going to start talking about a way that you could pee while on the show. And you're like, you know what? I could put it right here. I was like, please don't say some sort of bucket or situation.
Dude, so they tried putting a catheter in me. They did put a catheter in me when I got my hip done. Sorry. And they told me I was going to keep it for 24 hours. I said, listen, bro, this ain't going to happen. You're going to take that thing out of me. And they're like, no. And I'm like, they're like, when you can get up to pee, we'll take it out. I said, well, I guess I'm getting up to pee then. What's up now?
Yeah.
I got up and peed. Yeah.
There you go.
So then I took it out. But then in the middle of the night, I was in a lot of pain because I must have had a pain medication. And I was ringing this damn bell because I couldn't get up. It was, this is like 12 hours after surgery or whatever. And I'm doped up on the pain and I can't. And the nurse would not come in, and I had to like try to sit up and pee in the like the cup thing that they leave by the bed just in case,
Oh yeah, I know.
No, not a bedpan. It was.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I had to sit, because you can't do it when you're horizontal, because then it'll roll back out on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I had to sit up just enough where I could piss in this cup because the nurse would come help me get out of bed. It was so frustrating.
I just envision you yelling for the nurse for a while and then just getting
I kept pushing the damn button and they wouldn't come. It was because I remember it was because you have this thing because your leg doesn't work because you just got to cut open and whatnot. And there's this thing where you hook your foot and you lift your foot out of the bed, to get it moving. And that thing was out of reach for me, and so I couldn't get it. So I couldn't get my leg out of bed.
Well, glad. That wasn't too terrible. Glad you got the catheter out quick. And we're glad you guys are tuned in. It's going to be a big week in wrestling. You got to love Super 32 week. Kyle Brackey and I on the call for the finals. Wow. It's going to be an exciting time.
Boom.
We're excited. We'll talk about a lot more tomorrow. We'll do that Penn State, Iowa whiteboard war, I do think. That's going to be fun. It's going to be pretty dang close. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks to Ben. Thanks to Kyle. And thanks to you. We'll see you tomorrow. Happy Tuesday.